Roman Kenny, 27-year veteran of the video game industry, and I am not very good at streaming, so I'm starting off with doing some pre-recorded videos, see how that goes. But now that you've seen a few of my drawings, and it seems like you guys like them so far, I wanted to talk a little bit about my work in the industry that I've done so far, starting with when I first started out as a 19-year-old kid from Irvine, and my mom found a flyer on the ground that talked about if you could draw this picture of a Viking that was done by Sam Didier, then you should come try out for an artist position at our company, then known as Silicon and Synapse. I think I was the 13th person hired there, but I think they had somebody else before me that they had let go. And this is back in, I want to say 93, I think. Yeah. So over my time there, I've been, doing artwork and concept work, as well as some animation, 2D mostly, animation, and a bit of 3D, a lot of 3D on World of Warcraft, and texture mapping, and so on. Things that you do as an artist at a video game company when you're starting from the ground up. So we had about 3 or 4 years of doing 2D art, pixel art, for video games like Death of Superman, Justice League Task Force Fighter, Lost Vikings 2, Lost Vikings 2, Rock and Roll Racing. I started around the very end of Rock and Roll Racing. I did one thing for it, but I don't think it ever made it in the final release of the game. I was just doing some font stuff when I first got there. Blackthorn, of course, and then we moved on to Warcraft 1, Orcs versus Humans, or Orcs and Humans. And I got to do the cover art for the box for that. Then we started on Warcraft 2, and then StarCraft and Diablo, I think, were going at about the same time. Diablo was, of course, up at Blizzard North at the time. And then I think we started working on Warcraft 2 after StarCraft, but maybe it was before. It's hard to remember back that far. And then we worked on Warcraft 3, and then I heard about this project that was going on the other side of the building, because we had moved into a bigger building at this point in Irvine, because there was probably a couple hundred people there at that point, maybe a little less than 200. And we started working on a game called World of Warcraft. I really wanted to make a space MMORPG, but I got overruled in the decision-making process of that, being an artist and all. Mainly for the reasons that people thought it would be more interesting or more familiar if it were creatures that were more fantasy-based. StarCraft was really hot at the time. I think the executives knew that it probably had more staying power, and we were going to do more with the IP in the future. And we were currently working on Warcraft 3, so I guess it seemed like a natural fit. But and so I worked on that for the next, let's say, 12, 13, maybe 14 years or so. And then I went to cinematics after a short sabbatical, because I was really burnt out on Warcraft, you can imagine. And it was showing in my work and work life, and balance with my personal life and stuff like that. So I moved over to cinematics, thankfully, and started working on concepts there for a game called Overwatch. Overwatch was a brand new IP that had been in the development for a while, under a different title. I think it was Titan or something like that, and it really wasn't going anywhere fast when it was under the, previous game style of being like an open world shooter kind of thing. And so after they scaled down the game size a little bit and made it more of an arena shooter, kind of like Doom, uh, things progressed a lot quicker, and they hired some new artists that were, really good at character design, and they had a good theme already, and they just built characters instead of it being a character creation style game. They had pre-made characters with stories and everything, like you've seen, obviously, Tracer, Reinhardt, um, Zarya, all of those characters. After a while working on cinematics there, I started becoming more interested in the consumer products aspect of things, like our toys, collectibles, soft and hardline, from shirts, you name it, to backpacks, pins, uh, the Cupid Deadlies, things like that. So I started helping out with consumer products on the review and approval of the toys and collectibles and stuff there. And after about 3 or 4 years of doing that, while I was still working on cinematics concepts and stuff for mainly Overwatch, but a lot of Hearthstone as well. You know about the big thing that hit the scene, so we started working remotely, and I was getting really burnt out. Things weren't going well in my personal life, and so we were thinking about moving, me and my family. I had 2 kids at this point, and I wasn't going to be able to continue working for Blizzard if I moved out of state, which is where we wanted to go, to get out of California sooner rather than later, which I don't regret at this point. I love it up here. It's beautiful, and I've met some great people, and they're a lot more chill and level-headed when it comes to certain global situations that are beyond us simple folks' control. So then, after about 3 or 4 years up here, I've done some contract work, started working on my own game, which, if you know what that one's about. It's more adult, but it's got a really cool, deep story. And I've been writing that as well as animating it and doing character designs and level designs, along with the help of one of my good friends from the industry that I've known ever since I started, and a programmer and a publisher. It's slowed down a lot because I've had a hard time finding work in this economy, and it just seems to be getting worse. Some of the applications I fill out now for jobs are just asking me to help train their AIs to replace traditional digital artists sooner than it would take if they didn't have, uh, someone like me to help tell them what looks good, what looks bad, what it's not doing, what it is doing, right? If it feels natural or it seems synthetic, or without cause, or without, a good composition or layout. There's a lot of other jobs too, but sometimes I get the feeling they're just possibly collecting data because I'll never hear back from them. I've done so many applications now. I did work for another company for a couple years, Visonic. They were great. The people I worked with were mostly down in Colombia, and they were just awesome. Like some of the most talented pixel artists I've ever worked with. And yeah, so I was getting really back into pixel art right before I left Blizzard, and that's kind of why I started my game and got the job by Sonic, because they were doing a pixel art MMORPG on the blockchain. That was really cool. Uh, and so I got to create a lot of, cool new creatures that didn't have anything to do with like traditional fantasy as much, a little bit, but not as much as World of Warcraft. Think more Adventure Time cartoon style. But yeah, it was all pixel art, and I really enjoyed working with them, and I would definitely work with them again. Um, but they ran out of funding, so it was hard to afford to stay with them, and they had to let me go because they just couldn't afford me at that point, um, which is a bummer. Uh, but hopefully, I'll hear from them again if they ever need any help on anything else in the future. And that pretty much brings me up to current day, where I'm at now, sitting in my bedroom slash office while my kids are at their mom's house, and I am trying to find work. And I'm trying to get jobs in town as like fry cooks or serving waiting tables, stuff like that, whatever I can find at this point, because it's getting pretty bad. And I didn't want to bum you all out. I'm still a very positive person. I still draw every day. That's why I've been uploading videos, and I'll continue to do so. And hopefully, I'll build enough uh, material up that it's enjoyable for you to watch, and I'll be able to talk more when I get more comfortable in front of the camera, as I keep putting videos out and answering questions and feeling like I'm interacting with people who are actually interested in not just the process, but the worlds and characters and creatures that I've helped develop over my time with Blizzard, and on my own and stuff even before that. But I wanted to show you a couple little things too right before I go that might be exciting. Here is a picture of my shield that I received after, I think, 10 years at Blizzard. I have the sword too, but I wasn't able to slot it into the part at the top because I put it too close to the ceiling. That's not going to work. But here's a picture of the Spectral Tiger, I think. Yeah, Spectral Tiger, one of the creatures or mounts that I created for World of Warcraft that seemed to do really well when it hit the market. The other one I did that's kind of an interesting story was the Sparkle Pony, if you know what that is. Sold for $25, and I think some of the proceeds were supposed to go to donations for like Make-A-Wish Foundation or something like that, but it generated like $450,000 in sales in like the first week that it was available. And I joked with my friends, if I had like a nickel for each one that sold, I could retire today. But that's not how it works in the video game industry, unfortunately. You just get paid a flat salary, and that's pretty good. It's more than enough to live off of, for me at that time anyways. Until I got married, then it was a little more rough, and the economy started going crazy. This is Frostmourne. My friend Ruir Syria, I can't pronounce his last name very well. It's been a long time since I've seen him, but he designed this sword for Arthas, and they had it made, which is really cool. I'll try to get a little bit closer without losing too much of the detail and not getting too blurry. This is just a webcam, so it's not great. But yeah, it's a big sword. Very heavy, it's like 30 pounds. But yeah, here's the 20-year crown for working at Blizzard for 20 years. Kind of cool. It's a synthetic sapphire on the front, so it's not like one they found in the ground or anything, but it still is technically a sapphire. It was just made in a lab. And then this is the orc statue. That's at Blizzard headquarters. It's just a scaled down version of it in resin, but made to look like real bronze. I'm missing the hands right now because I misplaced them when I was moving out of my old place and into my new place. So this is the 25-year statue of the Lost Vikings all stacked up on top of there. You can see Olaf, Balog, and Eric at the top. I designed this for the 25-year anniversary of Blizzard. It's kind of fun to do. Anyways, that's about it. I hope you guys had fun watching this little stroll down memory lane, a real quick history of my time in the video game industry, mostly with Blizzard for like 27 years or so. And hope that you guys will stick around and watch some more of my drawing videos as I learn how to do the YouTube thing better. Alright, until then, we'll talk to you soon.